This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
Welcome to today's Talk Business and Politics. I'm joined by John Brummett of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Good to see you as always at the beginning of a week. I want to start on something sad but uplifting, and that is the passing of the great John Lewis, congressman from Georgia, obviously known as one of the Big Six in terms of everybody associated with the civil rights movement and Dr. Martin Luther King. Put in perspective for me what you think his legacy will be.
Well, I think his legacy is that the civil rights movement was brave. The civil rights movement was important. The civil rights movement is not over. But the finest elements of the civil rights movement were bravery at the time and good-natured, good-hearted vigilance thereafter. That's what John Lewis means to me. If he had every right to hate everybody. His skull was broken open. He was beaten near death for fighting for equality, fighting for basic rights. And yet everybody tells you, and he was here a couple of years ago whenever we had the congressional
2018,
for an appearance at Philander Smith for the students and to assist in Clark Trucker's campaign, and just a delight, the kind of sweet, generous guy you would expect him to be. And and always positive about doing good and going forth and making things better. When this world hit him in the head several times and broke his head open, to me the point is, take your blows, fight for right, and keep fighting with the best temperament that you can fashion, and hope that things continue to incrementally get better.
There is a Voting Rights Act that needs to be renewed
Right.
that has passed the House. It is sitting in the Senate. There is a push to rename it the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. Do you think that his death may lead to some sort of movement forward on that, either in this session of Congress or perhaps in the next session of Congress if we have a different makeup?
I'm pretty pessimistic about our ability in the present environment to do anything compassionate, thoughtful, or poignant. I don't think this is not the poignant, compassionate, thoughtful era in America, and I doubt it. I just doubt it in the current reassembling Congress. But who knows? After the election, we got a lot of things that hinge on this forthcoming election.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. There was a mesmerizing discussion between Chris Wallace, the Fox News Sunday host, and President Trump on Sunday. I learned a lot. Apparently, we're going to sign a new health care law in 2 weeks because of the DACA decision. I'm not sure the connection there on that. People like their Confederate flags because it displays their love for the South. It's not hearkening back to another time. I did not know what I learned about cognitive tests, that your ability to pick out an elephant from a picture is tantamount to passage right there. There was a lot packed into this one interview. Did you have a chance to watch the interview, or did you pick up any highlights from the interview?
I finally watched it. I resisted because, as you know, from week to week I have this theme, which is, okay, we can talk about what the guy did yesterday or what he said yesterday, and it simply becomes the fleeting outrage of the moment. But I kept hearing all Sunday about this and that, and I thought, could all this really be there? So yeah, I watched the whole thing. And at times, let me say at times, I thought Trump held his own. At times.
I will agree with you on that. I thought there were times where he did as well.
I could see where his base is going, yeah, get right back at him, yeah. You've got this document and you're going to have and it may all be nonsense, but I thought at times it was almost good for Trump. But there were other times, which were more numerous, which were absurd and outrageous and frightful. But this is the motif of the present time. And I don't think anything really changed from this. The highlight, there are many highlights for me, but for the President of the United States to say of his Democratic opponent, Joe doesn't even know that he's alive. Look, we have a delicate matter, old age, cognitive decline. It's a serious thing. And Joe may have some indications of it. Even if you think that, it's hard to make a political issue of that, or ought to be. And the way to make an issue of it, if you choose to, is not to say he doesn't even know he's alive. That's like childish, petulant, bullying talk and irresponsible talk. That's sort of, and then
But there are some that will say that about the president as well.
Sure.
He's in cognitive
We can all do
decline.
that. But I was just went, wow, that's the way he puts it. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. But for our political dialogue had descended, in my mind, to a new low when he said that. Now that's subterranean, the low, because the low was already very, very low. We're having to dig deep to get to new lows.
We may dig our way to China if
We
we're
may,
not careful.
and that's we could have an extended metaphor there that would get kind of convoluted. Also, Mr. President, you say our kids are being taught in school to hate the country. Where is that? I believe his quote was, what do you base that on? I read, I watch, and all that stuff. That's what the President of the United States said. I read, I watch, and all that stuff. And then when it got specific, there is a perfectly legitimate educational point. Do we overemphasize Christopher Columbus's discovery in 1492, and do we underemphasize the settlement on our actual land of slaves in 1619? And there's a whole movement, the 1619 movement, which is eye-opening and important to our vital introspection, the role that slavery played in founding this country and in the prospering of this country. And it wasn't just Southern, it was every element of our colonial and national economy was based on it. And it's profound teaching. And he sees that as, it's interesting, I mean, I'm not to go into too much, but it's like, wait, they're de-emphasizing Christopher Columbus and emphasizing slavery. They're saying hate America. I would like for him to understand, but I don't believe he's capable, that you can love America in a tough way, in an introspective and thoughtful way, and that in fact, that would be the very kind of thing that you would most love about your country, that you could do that. I believe he's not capable of that. Wait, they're changing history the way it's always been taught. They're saying they hate America. No, love America because we're introspective and thinking about it. So those two things, but there were many. The Confederate flag, you know, we got a guy from Manhattan who gives a hoot about the Confederate flag, except he thinks it appeals to his base. And it symbolizes a war fought for human bondage, slavery, racism. And here's the President of the United States making some, he thinks, cynical political point out of saying, this is a way we honor the South. You can honor the South without celebrating the symbol of human bondage. And I think it'd be a better South that did that. And I don't think he cares any more than he thinks there's some base riling up in that, which is a vital component of his
re-election campaign.
His re-election, yes.
Yeah. We learn on Monday morning too, he is going to return his daily briefings for the next few weeks.
I had not heard that.
Coronavirus
Is this news to me?
briefings.
He's going to come out daily?
Going to start 5 o'clock, which means it'll be right there before 6 o'clock news hour there. So we're going to bring those back, which is my segue to the governor's daily press conferences that we have all been watching for the last several months. Last week, Asa Hutchinson finally comes out with the mask policy that you didn't think he was capable of coming up with.
That's simply not true,
Well, I'll let you go into that.
Okay.
But he did manage to offend just about everyone.
Uh-huh.
The people that said he should have done it sooner are not happy that he didn't do it sooner. There's exemptions in there. And then those who did not want a mask mandate at all are apparently going to protest on the Capitol.
By going naked, I guess, because they don't believe the government can tell them they have to wear something. That they must all now emerge unclothed into the public square.
Put all of this in context for me. I don't need the nakedness thought in there.
But that's a logical
Where does
follow.
this mask mandate go? Is it Is it
Roby,
is it going to fall off of the planet, or is it going to actually be implemented?
I regret so much that you misstated my position.
Please
Expressed
correct it
very
then.
well here, just in this chair a week ago. I said, we're not going to go out here and arrest everybody without a mask. We're not going to start giving mask tickets. Do you remember? I actually pointed out to the street.
I
when I
remember
said
you
that.
saying specifically a week ago that you didn't think that ASA would implement a mask mandate. You had awakened on Sunday morning
Right.
after having tweeted something on
That I thought
Saturday
he
and
was
wanted
going
to
to.
take it back. And then he came out and did it.
Roby, again, misrepresentation. Fake news. Fake news. I tweeted last Sunday week ago, I believe we're going to get a mask mandate tomorrow. I woke up Monday morning and I'm going, I don't know if this happens to anybody else, something's bothered me. I just woke up and I did something bad yesterday, and then I thought, and I sat there on the bed and went, oh yeah, I predicted he's not going to do that today. I did not say he wasn't going to do it forever. I was just 3 days off. I stand proudly with the position that I said all along Asa Hutchinson was pragmatic and capable of this kind of thing. And he did it.
See, you reminded me of the president's position on when he said the coronavirus was going to eventually disappear. In the Chris Wallace interview, he said, well, eventually I will be right.
Yeah.
Eventually, you are
I
right.
think 3 days is going, for me, it's going to be closer than Trump's going to be. But I'll put my timetable up against the president's. Look, this was so eminently predictable. The sheriff up in Marshall, the police chief, well, I'm not doing it. Of course. I said here last week, the point is not to have masked police. The point is not that everybody going down the road is if you're driving down the road and you think, wait a minute, I didn't see that strap over his shoulder, go arrest him. We don't do that. We have a seatbelt law, but we don't arrest. We have the policy. We enforce it when there is an occasion to enforce it, such as a wreck and you didn't have it, or we caught you speeding and you didn't have it, and here's a ticket. But the purpose is to encourage responsible behavior for health safety purposes. That's all I ever thought it would do. That's all it will ever do. And yes, we got some of these yahoos out there who say they're never going to put on a mask. And we got the authorities among these yahoos are saying they're not going to enforce it. Of course. What I believe needs to happen.
What is a yahoo exactly?
A rural, unsophisticated.
Couldn't be an urban, unsophisticated person?
Could be. Yeah, I guess they could move around. They remain the same as they move around. What we need is for the state police district commanders to go see these sheriffs and these police chiefs and say, look, we said you're not going to arrest anybody. Ticketing is your discretion. We're going to ask you not to flaunt your disregard for this. We're going to ask you not to flout the law or the executive order.
It's too late. They've already flouted it.
We're going to ask you to enforce this thing if we have major events. We don't want you arresting or ticketing the old boy for being out here on the sidewalk and not having a mask. But if you got people gathering, and if you got people getting together close in the diner, we expect you to do something, and we will do something. I think that's the policy. Meantime, you hope for some residual improvement in our behavior, because people are now living in an environment in which wearing a mask is gubernatorially directed and government directed. Not everybody's going to do it, but maybe some infections will stay within the mask rather than get out into the public, and you've done some good. That's all I ever hoped it would do.
Do you care to make any other predictions about what Asa Hutchinson may do next?
Yeah.
Go for it.
I believe that he has said, hey, I agree with this legal opinion that everybody can absentee vote in the general election. But he said, I will revisit whether there's more need on this by August 1. August 1 is approaching. Mm-hmm. Because I have some positive feelings about his pragmatism. I think there's a possibility that he will believe it's appropriate and helpful to a fair and open and full participant election this fall to sanction that by official executive order. I think we could well see an executive order saying, I'm not just citing the Secretary of State's opinion, I'm saying you may get an absentee ballot for no excuse for the November 8th? 3rd, it changes from every 4 years. November 3rd general election. And beyond that, I've talked to election commissions and county clerks, and we need some money out of this federal virus money, stimulus money, whatever you want to call it. We need some of that to handle this printing and distribution, because we're getting ready to have a flood of a new kind of voting. I think, look for that on or about August 1.
I think you will eventually be right about that.
You don't think it'll happen August 1, huh?
He may make the announcement August 1 that he's going to sign something at a later date, but I think you'll eventually be right. Just like the president.
Really? Okay.
It's so much fun to have you in here every week. So.
Well, I guess so, just to abuse me. I come in every day and try to help you with your work, try to communicate with the viewing audience.
It is always good to be with you.
I'm always pleased to be here, and the discussion is always good to me, for me.
Catch John Brummett Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays in the Arkansas Democrat Gazette online, and you also have an online-only Wednesday column. Are they all online-only now, and really just a Sunday print? Straighten this out for me.
I write 4 a week.
Yes.
Sunday is in print.
Yes.
And online. Tuesday is in the iPad and online. Wednesday is in the iPad and online.
And Thursday
is in the iPad and online. Essentially the Wednesday one, which formerly was online only,
yes,
is now online, as well as in what passes for the newspaper now. It's just not on the Voices page. It's on it. Just look for me. Here you go to arkansasonline.com/Brummett and behold.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching.
You'll find us at the end of a lot of long country roads, covering over 60% of the great state of Arkansas. Our 17 electric distribution cooperatives are working day and night to provide reliable, affordable power to over 500,000 homes, farms, and businesses, just like yours. The Electric Cooperatives of Arkansas, your local energy partners.